there's a lot of smoke here. You got the guy testifying. I told him 3 times. They did it anyway.
We made it clear, based on our expertise of the chemical properties of our product, that stabilized VCM would be unlikely to spontaneously polymerize. And on Sunday morning, February 5th, we further reinforced our view that polymerization was not occurring during a call with Norfolk Southern representatives. On Sunday evening, Steve met with Norfolk Southern's emergency response contractors and, for the 3rd time, stated Oxyvinyl's view that polymerization of VCM was not occurring.
There's got to be emails. There's got to be phone calls that were made that could be subpoenaed. Where is the Ohio Attorney General? Where is the Pennsylvania Attorney General? Because this also affected Pennsylvania. Where is the Department of Justice? I know we got a lot of Trump investigations going on. You can fit this in. Companies could just blow up unnecessarily based on lies, could just blow up chemicals and create a chemical shower, a chemical mushroom cloud over innocent people, sicken them with cancer and all sorts of other things. And that's it. They pay a fine and, you know, create a few barbecues and give a couple million to playgrounds in the community. And that's it. If that's the case, we're all in trouble. Because to be clear, folks, it's not just about East Palestine. Just like it's not just about Flint, Michigan. This shit could happen anywhere in America. Whether it's a railroad or BP fat plant exploding or leaking, or a mining factory. There is environmental calamities all over this country all the time, and 95% of the time you never hear about and don't know about it. So all of this I've shown you, and J.D. Vance, you know, the populist senator from Ohio who wrote Hillbilly Elegy and, you know, claims to be one of the working men, one of the worker bees. And he's a populist, right? Well, Lewis saw him, I guess, getting in his car or something in East Palestine. He was there for the anniversary and asked him, I think, a fair question. And yeah, J.D. Vance seemed to be uncomfortable with giving a straight answer.
Do you think anyone should be held criminally liable for the decision to detonate those cars? A resident I've been speaking with said that they spoke with the former Vice President Al Gore at one point, who thinks that something could be criminal there. But the ultimate decision to detonate the cars seems like it was unnecessary.
Well, the NTSB report is going to come out soon. One thing I'd say, and I should have mentioned this earlier, is it's really important that we not have a federal settlement with Norfolk Southern before the NTSB report. It's like, you know, why would you try to memory hole and prevent discovery on an accident before you even have the accident report?
Right.
Look, we'll see what the NTSB report says. My strong suspicion is there were a lot of mistakes. Whether they're criminal mistakes, I got to see more evidence before I can say that. See you guys.
Thank you.
Let me just translate that for you in political speech, okay? I am a phony, and right now I'm auditioning to become Donald Trump's vice president. I was just on ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos.
So you're not troubled by the sexual assault and defamation. Let me ask you about January 6th. You've been mentioned as the possible vice president for Donald Trump. Had you been vice president on January 6th, would you have certified the election results?
Oh, George, this is such a ridiculous question.
And I wouldn't give a straight answer on anything. And I refused to denounce Trump for trying to do an insurrection and, you know, overturn the election results. And I am hoping to be chosen as his vice president, even though I have no chance. He's probably going to pick a woman. So since I'm auditioning for vice president, I can't, you know, piss off and ruffle the donors' feathers and call for criminal investigations into corporate America, because the donors wouldn't like that. That's what's actually going on here. First of all, I don't really know what NTSB report. Maybe the NTSB is going to come out with an official report. But if you have followed East Palestine and this story like Lewis has, like I have, I watched the whole hearing. The NTSB had a 2-day hearing on the East Palestine derailment in June of last year. So we're talking, what is that, 7-8 months ago? They've already reported their findings. Maybe it's not in a physical report, but they had a 2-day hearing. It was several hours each day. The chemical car owner testified. Other experts testified. Norfolk Southern testified. EPA testified. Local emergency responders testified. there's no other information. The NTSB reported the timeline of events of, the TikTok minute by minute of what happened with the derailment. So I don't really know. I need to see more. What evidence do you need to see? Is the owner of the chemical car company saying, we told them the derailment was on a Friday night. They detonated the cars on a Monday afternoon. Between Friday night and Monday afternoon, the chemical car owner, and they had people on the ground there, the chemical car company. He testified, we told them 3 times. We were monitoring the temperature of the cars. We told them 3 times there is no risk of an imminent explosion. I don't know. Nina Turner, the former Ohio state senator, she was Bernie's campaign co-chair. She tweeted basically what I'm thinking. She said, what more evidence does this man need? Residents of East Palestine, it's called bought and sold by the railroad lobby. What the hell? She also tweeted, everyone is a populist until it's time to be a populist. Norfolk Southern decimated this community, and they need a fighter in the U.S. Senate to stand up for them. She's right. And by the way, let's not let Sherrod Brown, the Democratic senator from Ohio, off the hook. Where the fuck is he? I know he's met with residents. I know he's pushed for the railroad safety bill that would put more regulations on the railroad companies. So points for that, I guess. Where is he calling for a criminal investigation? You start seeing a pattern here in Flint. 10 years later, no one's been criminally convicted. No one's even seen a jury trial, which I've explained. Thank you. Armwell just gifted a Status Coup membership. Now we're cooking here. I mean, honestly, I'm sorry. And I know, compared to some other countries, some people who have said to me that I've met from third world countries or, really tough economic conditions, poverty, that we have a better democracy than them. I'm sure that's true. But in terms of capital D democracy, I don't know how you tell me, where is the democracy in this? How is it a democracy if you vote for government officials to represent you and to protect you? We have almost a $900 billion defense budget. 900 billion with a B for national security. What about the security to the people of East Palestine and Flint and East Chicago, which I've covered, and Indiana, which BP just had a power outage and unleashed toxic chemicals? The details are in our newsletter. Go sign up to our Substack. I could go down the list. North Carolina, PFAS. PFAS in the water all over the country. Those are the forever chemicals. Are we not worried about their health security? Are we not worried about the women who are going to have miscarriages, who have had miscarriages in Flint, are going to have miscarriages in East Palestine? We're not worried about the mothers and fathers who are going to get cancer, the children who are going to develop illnesses? How about protecting them? But no, we don't go after corporations. The Sackler family, if you followed the opioid epidemic, has literally poisoned hundreds of thousands of people with OxyContin. Nothing. The short time Jeffrey Epstein went to prison for his sex trafficking ring, it was basically a bed and breakfast. He got to leave as he wished to go to his office, where women, sometimes underage girls, came to give him massages while he was serving a prison sentence. God knows what they're letting Ghislaine Maxwell get away with in there. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer and make you think there's no hope, but this is not a functioning, healthy democracy if corporations could poison you or government officials could make decisions that poison you and no one is ever held accountable. That's a fucking horror show. And no one is protected and no one is safe in that case. Shame on J.D. Vance and shame on the fucking loser, bullshit, pretend leftists who like to push these phony baloney Republicans as somehow populists or anti-war because they're against Biden's war. They're not against other wars. They want war with Iran. If they can get war with China, they're happy. But they're against the war in Ukraine because it's Biden's, because politics. But they're populists and care about the people, but I need to see more evidence before I call for criminal charges against a corporation. Give me a break.
I asked the railroad if we can get an extension. They basically want everything I have. They want everything that would take to put a court case together for them to extend my stay.
Mm-hmm. And you were mentioning earlier, and I mean, I listened to some of it myself. They're looking for like all of your medical records and all sorts of stuff like this in order to do so.
And they want me to use their housing program, which in there says I waive my rights anyways to sue. So there's really no point in using them or trying to get help from them because they're not going to help us. They're making it a game.
I've had a lot of phone calls from Ashley on weekends and nights, just distraught. She can't go back to her house. It's still her house. Still smells like chemicals, even though they tell her it's fine. Doesn't want to endanger herself or her children. Can't stay in a hotel forever. And Norfolk Southern's nickel and diming her and trying to kick her out. They refuse to pay for permanent relocation for her. There's so many bureaucratic things that a lot of these residents have had to go through. I believe there's still a couple dozen people still living at hotels or Airbnbs a year later after this derailment and chemical detonation. And, oh, how nice of you, Norfolk Southern. You'll pay the difference if I am able to sell my house? Because, there's a lot of people rushing to buy a home in East Palestine after Norfolk Southern created a nuclear Chernobyl there. But if I could sell my house, you'll give me the difference, but I have to sign, not to sue you for my eventual cancer or my children's cancer. So, at least I'll make back and not lose money on the house, but I'm up shit's creek when I get sick and have cancer. Capitalism, a love story, as Michael Moore called it in his documentary many years ago. I mean, this is just dystopian, horrible shit. And frankly, shame on the mainstream media. Other than us, and we are not the mainstream media, other than News Nation, who's technically mainstream media, they're a smaller cable news outlet. That's the channel that Chris Cuomo went to. Credit to them. They've stayed on this. Other than us, one or two other smaller independent people, there's no coverage of this anymore. There was a little more the other day because of the 1-year anniversary, just like there's no coverage of Flint other than anniversaries. The politicians have left these people to die, and the media have left these people to die. And they're going to die. I'm sorry to say. I've become friendly with a lot of people there. Lewis has, John Farina has. I hope people don't get sick, but they're already sick. And cancers don't just develop right away. But it's not just vinyl chloride. There's other chemicals in that car, and just the detonation, the combustion of all these different chemicals and the byproducts they made, as we've covered, dioxins, which are some of the most toxic chemicals known to man. The dioxins that came out of the combustion of a lot of these chemicals on the train.